Tay Savage, real name Dwayne Timberlake, spent his first years with his grandmother in the Auburn-Gresham neighborhood around the streets of 76th and Racine. This is located in the far south side of Chicago.
I'm from Welchville, I'm originally from 76th and Racine, Rock Island, feel me? That's where I really was born.
My grandma and stayed like they from 76th and Racine, and my granddad and them was like on the low end. That's how I came to Welchville or whatever. But I go back all summer, be with them all summer, whatever. Or, you know what I'm saying? Any break, I go kick it with her. She really raised me, to be honest. My grandma, well, she, you know, when I was little, baby, whatever. I really stayed with her most of the time. But
a territory of a gang known as Rock Island, who are made up of mostly conservative vice lords. Now, conservative vice lords are an interesting gang with a rich history. Considered to be the oldest faction of the almighty Vice Lord Nation, the Vice Lords formed in 1957 when several African-American youths moved from Mississippi to Chicago, coming together while incarcerated and recruiting others to join their gang, and ultimately engaging in conflicts with other gangs or clubs in different Chicago neighborhoods. The conservative Vice Lords was started around 1958 by the 7 original founding members of the Vice Lords. The conservative Vice Lords were essentially intending to soften the image of the overall almighty Vice Lord Nation gang. The conservative Vice Lords styled themselves as more of a community outreach group, legitimizing their activities through Conservative Vice Lord Incorporated, often being referred to at these times as the socially conscious street gang.
The guys over here in the Vice Lords, the people over here in the Lawndale area want their piece of the pie. And they wanted to do their homework, like I said again, to get it.
The conservative Vice Lords came as a result of some older Vice Lords realizing that the younger Vice Lords were breaking in houses in the community.
Yeah, what's your problem, man?
Committing a lot of crimes, and they were getting violent, and it was like violence on the peoples in the community. And so they wanted to shut that down.
Into the 60s, this faction became involved in different community outreach initiatives trying to prevent violence and crime and support positive change in Chicago's black communities. And CVL Incorporated would even receive grants from powerful funders like the Rockefeller Foundation to further their mission. However, as it would turn out, this didn't stop the street side of the Vice Lords continuing to run an illicit empire as a gang, consolidating other smaller neighborhood gangs into the almighty Vice Lord Nation and running what was later described as a complex criminal enterprise, running protection rackets and murdering business owners who refused to be extorted. One of the Vice Lords' leaders, Bobby Gore, would ultimately end up being jailed for murder, and over the decades that followed, many fragmented Vice Lord factions would form in neighborhoods all over Chicago, with the heavily armed young members bringing violence to their neighborhoods, even telling the news in the 90s that they're ready to kill anyone who comes into their building.
Meet the Vice Lords.
We got 50-shot Max, this small, we got Techs, we got 30-30s, we got Uzis.
Just one of the many heavily armed street gangs in Chicago.
Hey, we hunt whoever try to hunt us. That's how it is. The gang survival. Right.
You hunting people.
Right. Anybody who try to come through our building.
If one of us go down, they going down too.
If one of us go down, everybody got to go.
This is the kind of environment that a young Tay Savage was growing up in, and despite hailing from the Vice Lord stronghold of Rock Island, apparently Tay would eventually be sent to live with his mother in the suburbs at the outskirts of Chicago, getting momentarily away from the dangerous gang-infested environment of the South Side.
My pops was locked up most of my life, but my OG really was holding it down, you feel me? She had moved out to the burbs, so I really was decent, you know what I'm saying?
What suburbs was you staying in?
I mean, I was all through the burbs, like the north suburbs, like Aurora, all out that way, Aurora, Hoffman Estates, Bartlett, you know what I'm saying? I was all through that. Then I started kind of getting out of hand, you feel me? So she sent me with my granddaddy or whatever. And then, you know, that's kind of, you know what I'm saying? I
became a product of your environment.
Yeah.
But Tay's behavior was getting out of hand, and eventually, after going back and forth from his mother and grandmother, Tay would eventually be sent to live in the low end where his grandfather lived, finding his new stomping grounds in a neighborhood run by a set of gangsters called the So Icey Boys, or Bird Gang, or So Icey Trap Boys. So Icey was made up of members with a heritage in both the Black Disciples and the Gangster Disciples street gangs, with many of the smaller gang sets in modern-day Chicago being made up of a variety of people with heritage in different street gangs. As Tay explained himself in a No Jumper interview, this gang didn't care about your original affiliations at all.
So in terms of break it down for me, because they said when I was reading about your history and stuff that Welsh World contains GDs and BDs.
Yeah, y'all. So man, we got a mixture. Like we got a mixture in our hood, you feel me? We got all type of stuff, BD, GD, FO, I don't know, we got all type of stuff. We don't really care about that, to be honest with you. So you ain't gonna never just see us like, oh yeah, we super GDK. Now, Lil Bro and them, they like most of them all BDs. Most all like Bookie the G and all them, they mostly all BDs. the guys like my age, it's all a mixture. Like we don't really care about that. We all 40th, 43rd, So Icey, Welch World.
The set So Icey likely got their name after Gucci Mane's first hit song with Young Jeezy by the same name, and the members were clearly already big fans of Gucci Mane, with Tay Savage himself being seen in early Facebook videos actually dancing to Gucci Mane's classic anthem, My Kitchen. And it would appear that members of So Icey had aspirations in the rap game too, with So Icey members recording themselves freestyling on the block.
So Icey, we 40 of them. Catch us where that camera 39, we taking over. All them counterfeit, we gangsters in the making, dreaded like Jamaicans. First young actor, not that cushy, me spacing. So you know what we blazing. Ask your girl how it tasting, and little mama said amazing. Told the cush man who she dating. Been kicking it on 40, you know I got that 40. Plus give me in rotation, cause the trigger happy shorties, trap shot.
So Icey's main territory was roughly between 40th Street in the north, 43rd in the south, King Drive in the west, and Cottage Grove in the east. And members of So Icey would regularly record themselves walking their strip and holding down their territory, as well as having parties on the block outside.
This bitch, you know you could have did so what? Right, man, you know how we do it, man. So Icey Trap Boy, muscle in the building.
No, in this bitch, man. So Icey Trap Boy, stand up, man.
UMB, man, Fly Boy, confirmation Fly Boy, Super Boy, got Richie, aka King, sorry, man. You know what it is, yo. Yeah, the money over there, man. Usually we got the honchos in the pocket, yo.
No, getting money, man.
Before the meteoric rise of Tay Savage as a rapper in 2023, this neighborhood had received relatively little attention from fans of Chicago drill and rap. But it has produced quite a few characters who ended up playing important roles in the rise of the drill movement. One of these people is Chicago rapper Billionaire Black, who was born and raised in the infamous Robert Taylor homes and later started hanging out with the So Icey members.
You was born and raised on the south side of Chicago, am I correct?
My boy, for sure, on the low end, exactly.
To be specific, the low end. Welch World?
I was born in the Robert Taylor's, raised down there, but yeah, I grew up, high school, all that shit, Welch World, yeah. 40,
Okay.
40 to 43rd, stay too late, you know.
Billionaire Black has been rapping for a long time, years before the drill movement exploded onto the mainstream around 2012, with early songs of his more inspired by Atlanta rappers like Gucci Mane and Waka Flocka, which still circulate, having been recorded as early as 2008. Together with some guys from around So Icey's neighborhood, including rappers like Chopper Dagoon and his brother F. They would start a rap group called the Buck 20 Brick Boys, who dropped their first music video in 2009, a track called I Really Lived Dat, where they would tell real stories of the grimy street life in Chicago. While a young Tay Savage wasn't yet rapping at the time, he could still be seen sometimes in the back of music videos and blogs by the Buck 20 Brick Boys. The Buck 20 Brick Boys eventually begun to get a buzz in Chicago around 2010, helped partly by their music videos that already at the time looked relatively professional. This was actually thanks to the brother of F. and Chopper Dagoon, videographer D. Gaines, who would later play a pivotal role in capturing some of the biggest moments in the Chicago drill movement, shooting music videos for many of the biggest rappers and songs in drill history, including many of Chief Keef's biggest songs, such as the video for the breakthrough hits I Don't Like and Love Sosa. He also did the video for Lil Durk's classic drill anthem, L's Anthem, and the song Right Here, which was Durk's first single after getting released from prison in 2012. And he would also record the video for FBG Duck's classic track, Hell Yeah. Buck 20 Brick Boys had connections all over the South Side, and they were linked up with numerous sets and rappers, including FBG Duck, who at the time still went by just Duck, S. from 600, which at the time was still better known as Brick City, and surprisingly, Lil Durk from Lamron, who would later become bitter rivals with some of the members, most famously Billionaire Black, who of course ended up remaining much closer with the Gangsta Disciple rappers from 63rd, like FBG Duck. But before all of that happened, Lil Durk was collaborating with the Buck 20 Brick Boys and shouting them out.
What up, bro? Chillin', man. Shout out to Lou, you know, shout out to Buck 20.
Besides rappers, one of the key members of So Icey and one of the most important characters in this story was a charismatic young man by the name of Anthony Welsh. He would be seen representing his block in numerous hood vlogs alongside a young Tay Savage.
Like my Buck 20 Brick Boy, crew entertainment, man. Shout out to my So Icey Trap Boy, stand up, my trap girls, all my trap hoes with me. My media news, man.
I'll run shit, that's the only thing y'all gotta know, man. I might look like I'm out there, but I ain't out there. That's how I look, man. I'm true cat, man. We out here, man.
And where we at, y'all?
Yeah, we have to put on our parts on these.
We just let y'all know what it is, man. Well, it's my
tell you like, these shooters I talk about them around, they're real as hell. Don't be the talk.
Welch and Tay would become the best of friends, both running in the streets together, each respectively racking up lengthy arrest records, with Tay receiving various charges from trespassing and reckless conduct to domestic battery and gun possession, while Welch would catch charges that included reckless conduct, trespassing, and manufacturing drugs. Tay and Welch were close and united in the battle to survive the difficult environment of life in the streets of Chicago's Low End. The streets would be dangerous, and there would be numerous other gang sets operating in the Low End at this time. However, because these sets existed before Chief Keef and other legends of drill music brought the world's attention to Chicago gang culture, and before the gang members would record their every move on social media, there's generally limited information about these sets available today. Based on some of the social media activity by the So Icey members that did exist at the time, they were closely associated with a handful of other nearby sets. So Icey affiliates such as the Beam Team from around 39th Street, which would later become known as OBN or Oak Boy Nation, named after the Oakwood Shores apartments, which is also the hood of the early female drill pioneer Katie Got Bands. So Icey were also close with 4624 Hit Squad or 46 Terror from around 46th Street, which would later become known as THF 46 or the Trigger Happy Family. This is a set that has deep ties to famous sets like O-Block and Lamron, with one of THF 46's most famous members, Bezu, being a close friend of both Lil Durk and Von. There was also a small set in alliance with So Icey called Fifth Ward, which would later allegedly connect with THF 46. But there were also many other sets from around the Low End that at least some So Icey members didn't get along with, such as the Rock Boys or Rock Nation that originated in the Icey projects, where they can still be seen hanging in this video clip from 2008, not long before the demolition of the last of the project buildings. Later, the Rock Boys would eventually begin operating around the Dearborn Homes public housing projects, and interestingly, the Rock Boys were seemingly connected with O-Block, the Black Disciple gang based in the infamous Parkway Gardens housing project, which was known in the streets at the time as Wick City. The name O-Block comes from a famous resident of Parkway Gardens that was gunned down by the name of O.D. Perry. A member of the Rock Boys would even make a post on Facebook in 2020 suggesting that he was actually present when O.D. Perry was murdered in 2011. It's never been definitively proven who actually killed O.D. Perry and so-called created O-Block. What we do know, however, is that So Icey and the Rock Boys absolutely hated each other. In an old photo of Welch, he appears to be disrespecting the Rock Boys by showing their Jay-Z inspired Rockefeller hand sign upside down. Another set known to beef with So Icey is Lake Park, which would later become known as Sue Woo or TTB from around the Lake Park Avenue near the shores of Lake Michigan. They were seemingly also beefing with So Icey and would later become associated with the murder of one of their most beloved members. Lake Park members could also be seen dissing Welch by throwing down a W hand sign. Lawless is another low-end set that has beef with So Icey. The set is named after the Lawless Gardens housing projects, which sounds intimidating, but these projects are actually named after another distinguished black Southsider, internationally renowned black dermatologist and self-made millionaire Theodore K. Lawless. The Lawless set were also known at the time as Jamar World, named after their member Jamar Moore, who was killed in 2010. Now, Tado from Chief Keef's Glow Gang hailed from Lawless and can actually be seen here in front of a tribute to Jamar, and this affiliation would later lead to tension between Tay Savage and Tado. Also, infamous gang set 051 Young Money from the southern end of Bronzeville would also get into a heavy beef with So Icey and Welch World, and one of their most known rappers, Lil Mark, would actually diss So Icey in his classic 2011 drill song Zico World, where he alludes to Young Money robbing the chain of Billionaire Black, shooting him, and even smashing his girlfriend before further dissing So Icey and THF 46. Another rival gang set that plays a key role in this story is called the Ave. The Ave is a set that hails from around 37th Street and Indiana Avenue, and sometime later in this beef, people from the Ave, Lawless, and the Rock Boys would all team up and represent together under the name 757. Many of the Ave's members were actually black disciples, and according to some, many of them grew up in the demolished Ida B. Wells Homes and Madden Park Homes projects, both of which had black disciple strongholds. But some of the AV members also came from other projects that had ties to many of the other sets in the low end. In fact, in that 2008 clip of the Rock Boys in the Icey projects, there's an appearance by one of the most loved members of the AV and one of the key characters in this story, a female gang member called Cess, a nickname that's a shortened version of her real name, Princess. And Cess would appear in a 2008 vlog recorded in the Icey project's hallways.
Say, Mom, this Cess, man. That's all I'm gonna say. I give a shout out to everybody from 30 motherfucking low end motherfucking production, straight like that, my niggas and the Iggies. Yeah, these my niggas, motherfucker. Don't think I flip flop because I'm staying 35th in the Iggies. Yeah, these my niggas, 35th / Iggies, motherfucker. Having time we going to the party, y'all won't be for what? Because we getting them, motherfucker. Stop hating and get your weight up, motherfucker. But sure, I'm the only female first lady in all this. And ain't nobody gonna take the top of my motherfucker. That straight like that, but ain't straight like that, it's straight wrong. Bring y'all hoes? No. We got goons on deck for sure. Play with me, get hit in your nose. I keep that bread for sure.
After leaving the Ikes, Cess would move to the Ave, or what they would call Burr Street, likely named after Gucci Mane's famous ad-lib, Burr, with Cess actually having a daughter who became a rapper, Blasian Doll, who would later explain her movements as the daughter of a famous female gangster in her hood.
What it was like growing up with me on the low end, well, you know, my mom was Cess, so yeah, she was a real street bitch, so I grew up all in the ghetto in the trenches, like the Ickeys and shit.
Real trench.
Then we was on 37 in Indiana, you know. I've been around guns and shit all my life. This shit, like, in me, for real.
What are your memories of your mom like?
I remember, like, when we was younger, we used to live in the Ickeys. She used to be, like, a drug dealer.
To ride with another Ave member called Neef, real name Christopher Daniels, who can be seen in this hood vlog alongside Cess. Despite the two being opposite sexes, their relationship appeared to be platonic, and Cess was known to have boyfriends and baby daddies while still being out riding and sliding with Neef. In fact, at this time, Cess was already the mother to at least one child, and her daughter would grow up to become a female rapper by the name of Blasian Doll. Like the Buck-20 Brick Boys on the So Icey side, the Ave would also have their aspiring rappers too. In fact, Neef and Cess themselves were seemingly also dabbling in rap, recording numerous songs together. Now it's unclear when the beef between So Icey and the Ave began, or exactly why, but most likely, as is often the case, it's a complex mix of generational beef passed down by the older members, as well as new beefs that developed between individuals from the newer generations of both gang sets. But what can be said with some level of certainty is that the animosity could go back to at least the mid-2000s when a teenager named Stefan was killed. On January the 6th, 2006, the 18-year-old was pronounced dead after being found with a gunshot wound to the chest, and that murder remains unsolved to this day. Although Stefan didn't seemingly live in the low end at the time of his death, he was killed around So Icey's neighborhood. And in the first So Icey Buck-20 Brick Boys vlog on D Gaines' YouTube channel from 2009, members of So Icey can be seen shouting out their fallen members, including Stefan.
Yeah, man.
Rest PKD and Stefan, man. You know how we get down, man, over here, man.
Man, rest in peace to the boo doing everything, man. We get money out here, man. Real deal, I'm telling you, this out here, man. We out here, man. This crazy, man.
According to the online detectives of Chiracology, the Ave, including Neef and another member called Kenny Mack, may have had something to do with Stefan's death. As the years would go on, more and more rumours of Neef and Cess being involved in deadly violence in the gang war would spread, but so too would the involvement of Tay Savage, who would eventually get so deeply entrenched in the streets people would begin referring to him as the bully, and a one-man army who would take out entire gang sets single-handedly.